Good afternoon and welcome to another VLRP lesson. Today's lesson is on reading comprehension skills and it is for the grade 9 EFAL. I welcome you all, especially my grade 9 EFAL learners. Please ensure that you have your pens and papers ready so that you can be able to scribble whatever you want to learn later after this lesson. My name is Ntie Mpanya. What is comprehension? Comprehension is the interpretation and understanding of spoken, written, and visual text. Remember, you get a piece or an extract. Before you can attempt to answer those questions from the comprehension text, you need to interpret and understand the written and the visual text. We don't have a spoken text for reading comprehension. We have the written and visual text. More often than not, you'll get text A, which is a written text, and then text B, which is a visual text. You need to understand what is happening there so that you can be able to interpret and understand exactly how to go on answering the questions that follow. You don't need comprehension skills for exam purposes. However, for today's lesson, we are going to focus mainly on what you need to do during the examination. You also need it for life skills that you need to develop later on, because you still need to read text and be able to interpret them to other people or answer questions based on what people would like to understand about your text. Let us look at one of the skills or some of the skills that you need in order to answer comprehension text successfully. You need skimming and scanning skills. To skim is to read through the text and the questions too quickly to get an idea of what they are about. You just read quickly without focusing on anything, and then you go through the questions and read them quickly. You are just skimming over it. Then we have scanning. When you scan is when you look quickly through a text for specific information. For example, name of places or name of people. Now you saw this name, you want to check whether this name relates to what the other name you saw in text B or in paragraph 2. Then you are scanning the text. Skimming and scanning the text and the questions. Take note that a text can also be referred to an extract or a passage in the examination. Don't get confused when you are advised or instructed to respond or read extract A or read passage A before you answer the questions that follow. Or read extract A and then answer the questions that follow. Still the same. Now, how to do when you look, what you need to do when you look over quickly to get an idea of what is happening. You need to pay attention to the following. Check how many paragraphs there are in the text or in the extract. Remember, questions are based on the extracts. You'll be referred to a paragraph. You'll be referred to a paragraph so that you can be able to look for the information in that paragraph. Now, check how many paragraphs there are in the text. The title of the extract, which may also offer a clue to the content of the passage and the writer's intention. Pay attention to the title because there would be a question on whether the title is suitable for this extract. So, pay attention to the title. Check what the title is all about. Look if there are headings or subheadings. Look at the author. Who authored this text? Who wrote the text? Where does it come from? If this is information given, remember, where do you look for this? At the bottom of the extract, you'll see in brackets, it is normally written source, ne? Source or adapted from. Then you are given the name of the author and the date in which it was published, or the source, or the source, the original source from which it was taken. For instance, if the source is adapted, you know very well that it is not an original one. Eh? Once it is adapted, it means that the source was taken from someone else, and the person who put it up on the question paper changed it here and there. So it's an adaptation of the original text. Look at keywords and names. For grade 8 and 9, and for other grades as well, we normally give you a glossary, especially for difficult names. We always provide you with the glossary. Check that glossary. Topic sentences. Check for unfamiliar or unusual or difficult words. The introductory paragraph, if it often creates the atmosphere and provides the setting of what is to follow. Remember, the setting is where most of the extract is based. The final paragraph, it usually summarizes the extract. Then you can quickly look at the questions or scan the questions. They will give you an idea of what kind of information to look for when you read the text again. Notice again things such as names of people or places and the question words or instructions. The question word, identify, is a question word. Then we have, apologies, that is an instruction word. Identify is an instruction word. Then a question word, identify the figure of speech. The figure of speech will be a question word. The question wants you to identify what? The figure of speech. Then you have to look at the instructions, and please follow the instruction to the letter. For practical advice, do not copy directly from the text unless you are instructed to do so, but refer to it in order to avoid careless or factual spelling mistakes. This applies particularly to names, places, dates, or other relevant information. Remember, you'll sometimes be asked to quote a name. Then check if that name is correctly spelled. If you are asked to supply a synonym or an antonym, what you must do? Replace it to the same part of speech. A noun with a noun, an adverb with an adverb, a synonym with a synonym, or the correct synonym. Take the word that you have chosen back to the passage. Replace the original word with the synonym you have chosen and check if it is appropriate. Look, if you are asked to give a synonym, how do you ascertain? How do you make sure that the synonym is appropriate? You take it back. You take the synonym back where that original word was in the sentence and check whether it makes a perfect meaning. If it doesn't make a perfect meaning, then it is not a synonym, the appropriate synonym or the appropriate antonym. Let us look at the answering techniques. What you must do when before you answer or while answering the questions. It is important to interpret and follow the instructions exactly as they are given. Do you have to give a full sentence, a word, or a phrase? You must avoid starting sentences with conjunctions such as because, and, but, and so on. Why do you think the water level of the dams is down? Don't say because there is lack of rain. It is because of lack of rain. This is very important. The mark allocation is usually a suggestion of the number of points or the length of the sentence that you must provide. You don't expect to get full marks if it's a 3-mark question and then you give 1-line response. Surely you can't expect to get 3 marks. You need to give at least 4 lines, to write at least 4 lines. Remember, yours are possible answers. For a teacher who is going to mark you, that is a correct or a wrong answer. For you, it remains possible, a possible answer. Your numbering must correspond to the numbering of the questions. If the question number is 1.1.1 and you are asked to state 2 facts, don't write 1.1.1a, 1.1.1b. No. Write 1.1 and then the first weight, and then immediately underneath the first weight, the second weight. Still for 1.1.1. Don't even write the second 1.1.1 because that is not how the numbering is on the question paper. You need to follow the numbering as it is. Otherwise, you're going to lose marks. Because when the teacher marks, they use the numbering on the marking guideline. If you are asked to describe in 3 sentences what the character looks like, and you give 4 or more, only the first 3 will be marked. Remember, if you are asked to state 2 facts, you state 2 facts. If you state more than 2, the first 2 will be marked, regardless of whether they are correct or wrong. And the rest will be ignored. Again, even if the third and the fourth are correct, but they will be ignored because the instruction was state 2 facts. However, if you are asked to identify a tone, you can write as many words as possible, because there you are not instructed to, or you are not limited to the number of facts you must give. Do not give 1-word answers if you are asked for a sentence. Each answer must be written on a new line, and I want to advise you, please keep a line. Remember, make it simple or easy for markers to mark you or to be able to see your answers or where your answers are. It is your responsibility to ensure that the marker does not struggle when marking your script. When quoting from the text, enclose the quote in inverted commas. This is what you must do. This is what is expected. Teachers, if you have taught them well, you'll teach them that whenever you quote verbatim from the text, it must be put between inverted commas. When asked to describe the tone of any text, use 1 adjective, e.g., angry, happy. Remember, if you are asked about the tone is not how high or low the pitch of the voice is. No. The tone is how the words are said, how the word, the character is says the words. I am very, very concerned. It's not the same as, hey, how are you? It also reveals that this person is not in a good mood. You must also look back at what you have written and check whether you have answered all your questions correctly or you have answered everything. Please do not leave blank spaces. If you have left the blank spaces, go back and edit your work, because blank spaces is a guaranteed 0. And write clearly and neatly. Write clearly. Let your handwriting be clearly visible. Let it be legible. You can be able to read it. I don't need to go to your doctor after marking your script. You know, optometrists are very expensive. So please don't make me to check in after I have marked your script. We have come to an end of our lesson, and I hope that you have learned something valuable, something new, or something that you might have been taught and you have already forgotten about it. Remember, these lessons are also available on YouTube. If you want to get access to it, your teacher will download them from YouTube, because Mr. Paul Potrit is going to upload them immediately after the session. I want to wish well, but before that, please respond to the lesson quiz by either clicking on the link or scanning the QR code. Until we meet again, I wish you a blessed Monday afternoon. Goodbye.